Wow, look at this, right?
Two days later, they made the same move. They marched across the bridge and they encountered that same wall of police and dogs and National Guardsmen.
Hello, my name is Stanley Heller. Welcome to The Struggle. The Struggle is shown on over 30 cable stations from Vermont to New York City, on the internet at thestruggle.org, our YouTube channel, Struggle Video Media. Today, Standing Rock, Selma, Alabama, Syria. We begin as police and security in North Dakota turned Standing Rock into a scene from Palestine.
Wow, look at this, right? Don't put the light up. What is? Yeah.
The cops are out here with riot gear shooting stuff into the audience of people that are unarmed, just standing here trying to protect and make sure that they don't keep digging illegally over here. And they're shooting stuff at us. They got riot gear on. Nobody's shooting back. But I've already puked and gotten hit with tear gas and stuff, but everybody out here has. We just keep going out and trying to come back in and strengthen numbers. So, there's a lot of love out here. There's a lot of support out here. These are my brothers and sisters. It's my family out here, and we're standing up for the water. It has to happen. Water is life.
Innocent people! I got shot right here. I got shot, I got maced, I don't care. I'm going back over there for my brothers and sisters because we made a move.
This is insane. We're teachers and we came here to help stand up for the water and stand up for the people.
It's not worth it to you. Polluted. We will not be able to drink water.
This is actually an amazing thing. This is what America is about. This is people from all walks of life, from multiple communities coming together to say in one solid voice, one united voice, that we have had enough. We are going to stand up. This has now become bigger than just a pipeline fight. This is a fight to take back America.
Everybody turn around, get off the front line.
The America that could be. So when Donald Trump says make America great, he was right, except for the fact he's not going to do it. Us here at Standing Rock is where we're going to make America great. We're going to fight on through the tear gas, through the pepper spray, through the rubber bullets, through the live rounds, and through the concussion grenades. We're not going to stop. Why not? Because we're American. Whether it's Native American, whether it's Chinese American, whatnot, we are American. The last two words in American, I can.
So you see a lot of people coming in here very angry, but I also do see a lot of unity and compassion and solidarity from everybody that's been coming in. Is very supportive of each other, and I think that's a big strength and something we have to keep up here. What I see makes me feel very angry, and the people that are out there in front of it are doing such a good job of saying with compassion and doing prayers and doing everything the right way, and we just want to keep that up. But as far as the violence from the cops, it's all completely unnecessary. It's outrageous, it's uncalled for, it's inhumane, and it needs to stop now.
What sort of symptoms are you seeing of people that are coming in tonight?
We're seeing a lot of lightheadedness. We had a lot of skeletal injuries. We've had a lot of people with possible brain injuries from rubber bullets to the head, a lot of lacerations, effects from mace. We've had people throwing up, passing out. There's a lot of elders here that have been carried in. There's been tons of hypothermia. People have been drenched in water. We have people coming in on blankets that are still unconscious and coming back. We're seeing, everything. A lot of respiratory issues. People who have asthma here, they're getting hit with pepper spray. They're coming in, they can't breathe. So we're seeing a pretty big variety because they're using both physical and chemical weapons.
This sounds like war.
Yeah, it pretty much is war right now, except it's a one-sided war where people aren't doing anything and they're being attacked. So it's not war, it's an attack. They're treating it like war.
What's... What? Hi.
And as soon as I got in the open, I got shot with one of these things. Like as soon as I was in the open, they shot me with it. So, and I was just trying to help somebody who got sprayed 8 times. They're using these flash grenades and then tear gas, which has also been lighting fires when they shoot it out into the grass. It's been igniting the fire. And that's happened before, and they've actually blamed the protesters in the past for lighting the fires when really it's the tear gas they're shooting out here.
My name is Leland Brenholt. I'm a medic here at Ochete Sukawan, and we have seen at least 4 gunshot wounds. 3 of them I know to the face and head. Rubber bullets. And this is still not out in mainstream media. I'd like to know why.
How are people doing with the, they're being sprayed by water, right?
Water, pepper spray, and tear gas.
All right, so we have Standing Rock Tribe EMT here. Okay. Yeah,
Yep.
And so what is the medic team up to right now?
Right now we're trying to keep people warm. We're trying to get them decontaminated and treating all kinds of different wounds. People have been hit with canisters in the chest or the leg and that sort of thing. The panic causes people to move abruptly, and so sometimes someone falls down. So we've seen all kinds of stuff already tonight, and the night's not done yet. So.
All right. Thank you so much for the update.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
This is Sofia Walensky. She was shot in the arm at Standing Rock. Her arm was mangled. She's already had several operations and may have to have many, many more. Solidarity to you, sister. Someone created this meme making an obvious comparison between Birmingham, Alabama in 1963, when fire hoses were used against civil rights protesters, and Standing Rock today. In one sense, the comparison is wrong. Using fire hoses now is much worse. In Alabama, in 1963, it was May, and the climate was the Deep South. Standing Rock is in North Dakota, and this is in late November. People's clothes are freezing to their bodies. You recall that after the outrages in Selma, President Lyndon Johnson ordered federal troops to Alabama. What about Obama and Standing Rock? Well, he's been AWOL, absent without leave. As things got really bad, Obama took a junket and visited some foreign countries, and then he had a party to hand out freedom medals to freedom fighters like Michael Jordan and Bruce Springsteen. None of these freedom heroes was reported to have said a thoughtful word to Barack Obama, like, say, asking him to go to Standing Rock or to denounce police brutality. There is something you can do. Take your money out of the banks that are investing in the DAPL pipeline. That's what the Indian nations are asking. I did it last week at the Wells Fargo bank. It took me all of 12 minutes to close up the account. By the way, the photo I've just shown you has gotten over 200 shares on Facebook. That's nice, but I'd much rather see selfies of 200 other people as they take their money out of their banks and move it to banks that are free from fossil fuel investments. Besides supporting people at Standing Rock, there's much to be done at home. If you're near Hartford, Connecticut on Saturday, December 3rd, come to the Rally for Jobs, Justice, and a Livable Climate. It's sponsored by a score of groups and is calling for an emergency transition to 100% clean, renewable energy. It's absolutely necessary we go that path. Otherwise, we can go over the climate tipping point in as few as 13 years. Speaking of Selma, Alabama, I was there in October as part of the Wheels of Justice tour. We walked over the legendary Edmund Pettus Bridge and saw some of the memorials, some official and the better ones unofficial. The leader of the tour, Reverend Stephen Youngheit, talked about what happened on the bridge in 1965.
I don't know how many folks have actually seen the film or read accounts of the Selma to Montgomery March, but it took place in 1965, and Martin Luther King and the civil rights leaders were looking for strategic pressure points where they could apply pressure on local and national leaders to further the cause of civil rights, and they always selected a specific cause, a specific instance. And in this sense, they selected Selma as a particular strategic location to begin this voting rights drive, where they would march from Selma to Montgomery. And so they began to organize, they began to strategize several months in advance of the march, the planned march across the Edmund Pettus Bridge, which took place in March of 1965. Now, here's what happened. There were actually 3 marches across this bridge in 1965. The first took place on March the 7th. And as we heard Reverend Strong mention this morning, folks began at the Brown AME Chapel, which is down that way and to the left. We'll probably drive by there a little bit later today. And they marched up the street and then up this street and filed basically 2 by 2 up the sidewalk here. And you can see the way traffic comes over the bridge. You can see the sidewalk. There's not a whole lot of room to actually walk if you're walking across the bridge. And they crested that bridge, and you can't see the other side from here. And when they crested that bridge, what they saw was a wall of armed policemen and National Guardsmen waiting for them. Armed with guns, armed with tear gas, armed with dogs, armed with billy clubs with barbed wire wrapped around them. And they got up there, and Reverend John Lewis, now a congressman from Atlanta, was leading the march. He had drawn the straw to be the one to be at the front of that march, and he was the one that asked for access. And it turns out that Governor Wallace and all of the National Guardsmen, all of the police, said no, gave them a minute to disperse, and when they didn't disperse, they unleashed the dogs, they unleashed their incredible violence. And so that's the day that was known as Bloody Sunday. Bloody Sunday. Folks were beaten along the bridge, and they fled, and they returned back to Brown AME Chapel, where they were. That was one of the only places where they found shelter here in the city. Dr. King put out a word to everybody, to the country, and people then flooded into Selma from as far away north as Boston. And 2 days later, they made the same move. They marched across the bridge, and they encountered that same wall of police and dogs and National Guardsmen. And at a certain point, the police and guards and National Guardsmen dispersed. They said, "You may pass." And so they stepped to the side, and Dr. King sensed a trap in that moment. He didn't know if this was a trap, if they were going to be beaten, if they were going to be harassed. He didn't know what was happening, and he had all of these hundreds of people behind him. and he didn't know what he was leading them into. And with that in mind, he made a very controversial and painful decision. He kneeled on the ground and offered a prayer. And everybody offered a prayer with him. And then they rose, and he turned around, and he walked back, and everybody walked back with him. And everybody at that point thought it was a betrayal. He had called for these reinforcements. He had called for people to come and to be there. And when the moment came, he had lost his nerve. Now, I don't think he did lose his nerve. I think he was trying to protect those who were with him. And you can imagine how painful that must have been and how difficult it must have been to make that decision right then and there. They may have been slaughtered, we don't know. And so he made the decision to turn around. That was on March the 9th. It was then March the 21st before they enacted the final march. And again, they started at Brown AME Chapel, and they began the march across this bridge, and this time they continued all the way to Montgomery, where they had a rally on the steps of the Montgomery State House, the Montgomery Capitol. It was a 4-day march. It's a 50-mile march.
A recent development. The ultimate Israel apologist, the Zionist Organization of America, invited new Trump chief strategist Stephen Bannon to be a speaker at their hotel gala. He's widely known for running a site that's a cesspool for white supremacists. That these guys are Jew haters was evidently no problem for the ZOA because, you guessed it, they love Israel. Hundreds of angry Jews protested the event.
What do we do? Stand up, fight back! We are folks are under attack! What do we do? Stand up, fight back! Muslims are under attack! What do we do? Stand up, fight back! Go away! Racist, sexist, anti-gay! Stephen Bannon, go away! Racist, sexist, anti-gay! Stephen Bannon, go away! Racist, sexist, no DOA, no fascist USA! No Bannon! No DOA, no fascist USA! No Bannon! No DOA, no fascist USA! All have got to go from Palestine to Mexico. All the walls have got to go from Palestine to Mexico. All the walls have got to go. Stephen Bannon has got to go. Hey, hey. Stephen Bannon has got to go. Hey, hey. Stephen Bannon has got to go.
Now to Syria, which evidently both Trump and Obama want to throw under the bus. Every day, medical facilities are attacked, and scores of civilians die from Russian bombs. Over 1 million civilians are under siege. Here, a little boy is saved from the rubble in Aleppo.
إذا ما قلت يا رب الله أكبر الله أكبر إذا ما قلت يا رب إيه يلا حمودة طلعنا حمودة طلعنا الحمد لله يلا يا رب يا رب لا خدين إيدك الله أكبر الله أكبر قول يا رب قول حبيبي يا رب استنى أطفال تحت الأنقاض الله أكبر يا رب يلا قول يا رب قول يا رب يلا حمودين اسمع صوتك يا الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر.
Heartwarming, but does it really matter? Assad and the Russians might easily kill him tomorrow. One of Obama's few achievements in office was to get chemical weapons out of Assad's hands. But even that is false. Assad just switched from sarin to chlorine. Now, mostly chlorine has just sickened people, but Alex Rowell in Newsweek The Newsweek-owned Daily Beast reported that on November 20th, a whole family in Aleppo was killed by chlorine gas. A husband, a wife, and 4 children. If you wonder why Syrians just don't surrender to Assad and put up with him, look at some of this Amnesty International video about one of his prisons and what was done there to thousands of people.
This is one of the world's most notorious prisons. There are almost no pictures of its exterior and none from inside. And what happens within its walls is cloaked in secrecy. Until now. We've devised a unique way of revealing what life is like inside a torture prison. And we've done it by talking to people who were there and have survived its horrors.
ذكرت في لحظة حلوة كل شيء سيء في حياتي ذكرته في السجن يعني.
هون سقط كثير ضحايا وسقط كثير مساجين يعني قتلوا.
دائما أنا أستذكر الفترة السابقة على الرغم من يعني صعوبتها.
And using their recollections and the testimony of others, we've built an interactive 3D model which can take you for the first time inside Sednaya. In a unique collaboration, Amnesty International has teamed up with Forensic Architecture of Goldsmith, University of London, to reconstruct both the sound and architecture of Sednaya prison, and to do it using cutting-edge digital technology to create our model. This spoke-shaped building lies 30 kilometers north of the capital Damascus. It's impossible to know how many people have been incarcerated here, but one thing is clear. Since the beginning of the Syrian crisis in 2011, tens of thousands of people have been detained or disappeared by President Assad's government in a network of prisons, like this one, around the country. More than 15,000 have died in custody.
What is going on literally behind closed doors are crimes against humanity, systematic torture, widespread abuses, thousands of people who've died in the custody of the Syrian government since 2011.
In order to understand this whole world that is this prison, we have to only rely on the memory of the people who have been there.
Memory is the only resource within which we can start reconstruct what has taken place. What does it feel like to be a prisoner inside Naya?
Salam Othman, a lawyer from Aleppo, arrested for organizing peaceful protests in September 2011. 2 years, 5 months in Sednaya.
هلا أول ما وصلنا سمعنا أول شيء صراخ العسكر اللي كانوا موجودين هناك، يعني فرحتهم باستقبال سجناء. فأول ما فتحوا البراد كل عسكري مسك سجين ونهال عليه بالضرب.
The model can take the user through both solitary confinement cells, group cells, to give a sense of how the detainees lived. It also allows you to navigate the internal structure of the prison and to hear, in a recreated way, some of the sounds that they would have experienced.
For most prisoners, Sednaya was the end of a journey that has taken them through numerous detention facilities, where they often had to sign confessions under extreme torture.
Jamal Abdu, a community worker from Damascus, arrested for helping civilians displaced by the crisis in 2012. 1 year, 5 months in Sednaya.
أنا كنت شخص ما حملت سلاح على النظام، أنا كنت متظاهر سلمي، كنت أنظم المظاهرات.
One by one, they sat down with our 3D computer modeler and sound specialist to return to the darkest of places. And through their painful memories, forensic architecture pieced together each detail to build a whole picture.
Anas Hamadu, a farmer from Latakia, arrested for attending a peaceful protest in March 2011. 1 year, 3 months in Sednaya.
هون طبعا شلحنا ثيابنا كلياتنا ويعدونا بطيحة ترفع رجليك لفوق طبعا بالكابل هون بصير الضرب.
طبعا وضعوا كل سجين بوضعية بحيث يكون منحني على الأرض بحيث ما يجلس ظهره أبدا، يكون منحني يعني هيك الجسم والرأس قريب إلى الأرض هو بيمشي.
Torture under interrogation has perhaps been confined to the past. That's the intelligence agencies that have been doing that. And what we've heard about the situation in Sednaya is that the torture there is more just of a punishment.
حطونا بالغرفة، عطونا تعليمات إنه ما بصير يطلع صوت، ما بصير حدا يحكي، ممنوع كل شيء، ممنوع تشوف.
نومك بأمر، وفيقتك بأمر، وأكلك بأمر، ودخولك على الحمام بأمر.
وسكروا الباب ورانا. طبعا هن وقت سكروا الباب نحن يعني في شعور من الصدمة والوهلة الأولى، يعني في رعب إنه نحن وين.
Overall, everything about Sednaya prison serves to destroy the detainee. The conditions, and they are horrendous conditions, the torture, and there are a range of torture techniques, particularly beatings, but also then acts of cruelty and humiliation that detainees face on a daily basis. People come out broken if they come out at all.
We link to the whole video at thestruggle.org. That's our program for today. See you next week at this time. I'm Stanley Heller, and this is